Welcome to A-Level and AP Physics. In today's lesson, we will discuss past paper questions from October-November 2023, Paper 2, Variant 1. As always we will discuss these questions in detail so you can improve your conceptual understanding of physics and also you can have better understanding of these exam questions. Let's study together, let's improve together. Question 3 says, a trolley A moves along a horizontal surface at a constant velocity towards another trolley B, which is moving at a lower constant speed in the same direction. Figure 3.1 shows the trolleys at time t is equal to 0. Table 3.1 shows data for the trolleys, means the mass of the trolleys is given to us and the initial speed of the trolleys is also given to us. The two trolleys collide elastically and then separate. The resistive forces are negligible. It means momentum is conserved. So law of conservation of momentum we can apply because there are no net external forces acting on this system. And this clearness is elastic. So these are some important points you need to understand before you start working on answer. Part A says, state what is represented by the area under a velocity time graph. What is this area representing? Area under VT graph, this area. What this area is representing? This area is simply representing displacement. So very basic point, you need to be very clear. What is the area under velocity time graph? That area is displacement. And this question has only 1 mark. If you have written displacement, you will get 1 mark. Part B says, use table 3.1 and figure 3.2 to determine the acceleration of trolley B during the collision. So we need to determine the acceleration of trolley B, means the time when there is net force acting on trolley B, and that net force is when these two trolleys they collide with each other, they will exert force on each other, and that force has same magnitude but opposite direction. And that single force, because that is the only force acting on the trolley, that single force mean along horizontal. Of course weight is down, we are talking about along horizontal. That is the single force, and that single force will change the velocity and that will cause acceleration. Few points you need to understand. First thing you need to understand, when two bodies collide, let's say we have body A and let's say here we have body B. When two bodies collide, what is same for A and what is same for B? You can write on your own answer and then I will explain you. The first thing you will simply say, the force on two bodies will be the same in magnitude but in opposite direction. So this is one thing we can say, same for A, same for B. So first of all, force is the same. The second thing you need to understand, time of impact, or we can say time in contact, that time is the same. Now what else is the same? If force is the same, net force on two bodies is the same, time is the same. So we can also write down this is delta t. So it means force time delta t also is the same for trolley A, same for trolley B. So it simply means that the change in momentum of these two trolleys will be the same, mean the momentum will change by the same amount but in opposite directions. So we can also say this one is impulse. So the impulse on trolley A and impulse on trolley B will be the same. These are some very important points about momentum you need to understand. So they can ask you these points next time. So these are very important points when two trolleys collide. What is same for A? What is same for B? I hope this makes sense to you. Now you see, as direction of forces is opposite, so it means change in momentum for trolley A and change in momentum for trolley B also will be in opposite directions. So these are the points you need to understand. Now for this question, if you look at this part before this, you can see the speed is constant. It means that there is no net force acting on the system, means acting on this trolley. This is for trolley B. This is for trolley B. And if you look at this point and this point, velocity is increasing. It means there is force on trolley B. So simply we need to find the gradient of this because we have velocity against time graph. So we need to find out the gradient. So we can mark these points. We can mark this point. We can mark this point. And then simply we can find acceleration. So first of all, we can mark these points. So these are the coordinates. So we need to find out acceleration. This will be simply equal to delta v by delta t, means the gradient of this part of the graph. So we have value of y here, that is 0.30 minus we have 0.12 divided by 0.35 minus 0.15. So if we solve this one, we will get 0.90 meters per second. So this is our answer. So this is acceleration of trolley B. But acceleration of trolley A, is it also the same or not? Acceleration of trolley A is not same as acceleration of trolley B, because acceleration A, this is equal to net force divided by mass. Even this is the same. If the mass of trolleys is different, so the acceleration will be different. I hope this question makes sense to you. This question has 2 marks. If you have written these steps, you will get 2 marks. So try to understand physics, not just try to memorize, because patching in physics is not good. Try to understand the whole in a proper way. The whole story. Try to listen always the whole story. So try to understand the whole physics, not just patching one concept. So that will never help you to improve your understanding of physics. Second part says the magnitude and direction of the final velocity of trolley A. Means calculate the magnitude and direction of the final velocity of trolley A. For this trolley, we need to find out what is the final velocity of trolley A. But for this question, we have the mass of trolley A, we have the mass of trolley B, we have the initial speed of trolley A, we also have initial speed of trolley B. And also we can find the final velocity of trolley B from this graph. And VB, we can say that is equal to 0.30 meters per second, and this is positive, and this value is positive. It means this trolley is moving to the right. So this is VB, and VB is to the right. In any question, if it is not given to you, to the right is positive, or to the left is positive, or up is positive, or down is positive, by convention to the right we take positive, and upwards we also take positive. So these are the conventions you will see in the exams, and also you will see in different textbooks. So we follow these conventions. So this is first thing you need to understand. Now simply in this case, in the question it was given to us, there is no net external force acting on the system. So it means in this case the change in momentum is equal to 0. So it simply means that the initial momentum, this is equal to the final momentum. Momentum is a vector quantity, so direction of the momentum before and after also is the same, and magnitude of net momentum before and after also is the same. Now simply we have trolley A, this is moving to the right. We have mass of this one, we can say this is m1 u1 plus m2 u2. This one has to be equal to m1 v1, so means this is for trolley A, v1 plus m2 v2. Now simply we need to plug in values. Mass of trolley A we have, that is 0.25, and trolley, this is initial speed is positive, velocity is positive, trolley is moving to the right, plus for the second trolley, mass we have, that is 0.75, then this trolley is moving to the right because this is positive, so we have this is 0.12, and we have the mass of trolley A here, so that is equal to 0.25, and we need to find out VA. So here we have mass of trolley B, that is 0.75, and the velocity is positive because this is given to us is positive, so trolley B is moving to the right, so we can write down here 0.30. Now if we solve this one for VA, we will get minus 0.060 meters per second. This negative sign is very important. Let me rewrite this one. Maybe this is not very clear. So it is negative 0.060 meters per second. And here we have negative sign. So here we have this negative sign. So what is significance of this negative sign? This negative sign simply is telling us direction of trolley A after clearance is opposite to this one, is opposite to our sign convention. So it means trolley A after clearance, this is moving to the left. So you can also find direction from here. So direction is to the left. So this is how you need to answer. Physics is your way of thinking. Physics is fun and physics is beautiful, and beauty and fun is in your mind. If you love physics, you do problems, you will love problems. You will never get tired of that. So try to understand physics, try to develop love for physics by understanding physics in a right way. Part C says, on figure 3.2, sketch the variation of the velocity of trolley A with time t from t is equal to 0 to t is equal to 0.50 seconds. So for this purpose, we need to understand what is the initial speed of trolley A and what is the final speed of trolley A. Final speed of trolley A we have found that is equal to negative 0.060 meters per second. And the clearance is taking place here, so we can draw the line. So the clearance is taking place here. It started here and clearance stopped here. So at this point it stopped. So here clearance is taking place. So it means before clearance and after clearance, velocity of trolley A is constant. You also need to understand why velocity will be constant, because there is no net external force acting on the system when these two bodies are away from each other along horizontal. So that's the reason velocity need to remain constant. And in this interval, when they collide with each other, the velocity is changing because there is net external force on trolleys. So how we can sketch? So the beautiful way to sketch this one is simply you need to look at initial velocity 0.48, and this is positive. So simply 0.48 is here because this is 0.4, this is 0.5, so this is 0.48. So simply you can draw line here. So this is initial, and the final we can draw negative 0.060. so here we have 0.1, so this is 0.0, so this is 0.02, 0.04, 0.06. so we can draw the line here. Now simply we need to connect these two by a straight line, because acceleration is constant, because the net force is constant. So the gradient of this line has to be constant. As the speed of trolley A is decreasing, so it means acceleration is in opposite direction of motion of the trolley. So the gradient has to be negative. So this is how simply you need to sketch. Now let me clear the extra lines. So these lines we can simply clear. You don't need these vertical lines. So the final answer you can simply draw like this. So let me show you how you can sketch the final. So simply you can draw line like this. I hope this one is clear to you, and you also understand why it has to be aligned with constant negative gradient, because acceleration is constant, because resultant force on the trolley is constant. Question 4 part A says, state the principle of superposition. This question is a typical question you will see in almost 70% past papers. Mean this question is in about 70% of past papers. So you need to understand how to state principle of superposition in a proper way so you can get 2 marks. In order to define principle of superposition, you can say when two waves meet at a point, the resultant displacement of resultant wave is the vector sum of individual displacements of individual waves at that point. Now let me write down this one for you. So simply you can say the resultant displacement at any point is the vector sum of individual displacement. So we can say vector sum of individual displacements. So this is how you can simply define principle of superposition. Now let's try to understand this one with the help of animation. If you look at this animation and if you look at this point, at this point you can see the resultant displacement of resultant wave is always 0. It means that at this point one wave has positive displacement always, and one wave means the other wave always has negative displacement, and the magnitude is the same, so the resultant is equal to 0. So particle of medium at this point will always be at rest, mean this is the node actually, so there is no displacement. So this is what principle of superposition is telling us. Now let me show you the answer, how you can write down your answer. In your answer you have to mention these points. You can say when two or more waves overlap at a point, displacement of resultant wave is the sum of individual displacement. So it's better to say vector sum. So vector sum is very important. Part B says calculate the wavelength of the light, and this question is a typical question about double slit experiment. For this question, the distance between slits and screen is given to us. We can say this distance is capital D, and slit separation is given to us. We can say this is small t. This is the distance between center of one slit to the center of another slit. And also we have fringe spacing, mean the distance between centers of two bright fringes is given to us. We can say this is x. So for double slit experiment, you need to understand the product of lambda times t. This is equal to d times x. We need to find out value of lambda, so simply we can make lambda the subject and we can find its value. We have d, that is in millimeters, so we need to convert this one into meters. Value of x is also in millimeters, so we can convert this one into meters as well. So we can write down here 1.7 times 10 to minus 3, so this is in meters. Now we can divide by the distance between screen and slits, that is already in meters. Now if we solve, we will get 5.8 times 10 to minus 7 meters. So this is value of lambda. If you have written these steps, you will get 3 marks. Part C says light waves from slits X and Y in B arrive at a point between adjacent bright fringes on the screen. Figure 4.2 shows the variation of displacement with time for the waves arriving at the point where they meet. The student makes two statements about the waves at this point. Statement 1, the phase difference between the waves is 90 degrees. Statement 2, the amplitude of the resultant wave is 0. Explain how statement 1 is correct. If you look at this point, this wave has 0 displacement and this wave has maximum displacement. It means the phase difference between them is 90 degrees. But the better way to understand this one is we can extend this line, and we can draw these waves. So this wave, if we go back in time, we can imagine it's coming from this point, it's starting from this point, and this wave at this point, this has already reached the peak, so it is starting from here. So what is the phase difference between these two? So the phase difference between these two is 90 degrees. So when it has 0 displacement, this has already reached the maximum displacement. So the phase difference between these two is 90 degrees. So this is one point you need to write down. So let me show you the answer. In your answer, you can write down this point. Simply you can say one wave has maximum displacement, other wave has 0 displacement, means at this point. Second part says state and explain whether statement 2 is correct. Statement 2 is telling us that amplitude of the resultant wave is 0. But if you look at the resultant displacement, means if you look at this point, the resultant displacement is equal to this value. So this is not 0. And if you look at this point, resultant displacement will be equal to this value. So it means this is incorrect. Why this is incorrect? Because the phase difference is 90 degrees. If resultant wave displacement is equal to 0, so the phase difference has to be equal to 180 degrees. So there will be destructive interference. but in this case phase difference is 90 degrees, so it means that statement 2 is incorrect. Destructive interference, 100% destructive interference, this one will take place if phase difference is equal to 180 degrees. That phase difference is not equal to 180 degrees, so it means this statement is incorrect. So first thing we need to write down statement is incorrect, then we need to explain why this is incorrect, because phase difference is not equal to 180 degrees. At these points we can write down in our answer. So if you write down, you will get 1 mark. First thing you need to say it is not correct, so this is you need to state, then you need to explain, because phase difference is not equal to 180 degrees. Part D says the width of each slit in B is decreased by the same amount. There is no change to the separation of the slits. It means value of D remains same. So very important point. Describe and explain the effect, if any, of this change on the appearance of the interference pattern. Means what is the effect of this change on this pattern. So first of all, we need to understand we are talking about double slit. So from here we can say x will be equal to lambda times capital D divided by small d. As all these quantities are the same, d is the same, small d is the same, capital D is the same, and we are using the same light, it means x is also the same. So it means that the fringe width is the same, means the fringe spacing are simply, you can say fringe width, or you can say fringe spacing, this one will remain same. So this is one thing. Now as this gap size decreases, mean this gap size decreases, so how about the light coming out of this one? So it means less light is coming, so we can say, so less light is coming, so it means that the bright fringes, they will be dimmer, so we can simply say bright fringes, they will be dimmer, because when two bright fringes are formed, they are formed due to constructive interference between two waves coming from these two slits. If the coming waves, they have smaller amplitude, so the resultant amplitude also will be smaller. So let me explain you this one in a little bit different way. First of all, you can imagine we have waves, they are coming with this amplitude, so the amplitude is this big. So if these two waves they meet, we will see this super wave. But now size will decrease, it means the amplitude of the waves coming out of this one will decrease, means the less light is coming, simply we can say less light is coming, less light, so it means the amplitude will decrease. If more light is coming, more waves are coming, it means amplitude will be greater. If the less light is coming, amplitude will be small. So now the amplitude is small, means less amount of light is reaching this screen, so in this case we will see this. So it means that bright fringes, they will be dimmer, but dark fringes, they are still the same, dark fringes. So here we have this one, so you can also draw here, so we have this, and before we have this, so what is the resultant of these two? No light. Now we have this case, we have here and we have here. What is the resultant? No light. So no change to dark fringes, but the brightness of bright fringes will decrease because less light is coming out of these slits now. I hope this makes sense to you. One thing more we need to understand. We need to understand diffraction actually. One very important point about diffraction we need to understand. When lambda of the wave is almost equal to the gap size, significant diffraction takes place if these two quantities are almost same. But if we decrease this one, gap size will decrease, but we keep this one same. In this case, diffraction increases. So you need to understand diffraction decreases and vice versa is also true. It means these waves coming out of the slits, they will spread out more. So it means we will see more bright fringes, more number of bright fringes on the screen. More bright fringes on the screen because diffraction increase, it means more fringes we will see. More fringes as diffraction increase, you can also write down spreading out more. Wave spread more. So simply we can say wave spread out more. We can say spread out more. As they spread out more, it means we will see more fringes on the screen. Beautiful question. These are the points you need to understand. And so one point is this: you have to write down this one in your answer. You will get 1 mark. And the second one, the bright fringes, they get dimmer. So bright fringes, we can say they get dimmer. You will get mark for that one. And also if you write down they spread out more, number of bright fringes increases. So this can be the second point, this can be the third point. So you need to write down these 3 points. And this question is a beautiful question. If you understand this question well, it means a lot of questions about waves, especially about Young's double slit experiment, you can answer. I hope this question makes sense to you, and also you have better understanding of these exam questions. If this video was helpful, please like and subscribe, and also you can join Patreon for more resources. You can also share this channel with your friends so they can also get benefit from these videos. And the solution of remaining questions I'll upload as soon as possible. And also on the channel you can see a lot of videos. You can watch them, especially the topic wise. You can also find more than 60 past papers solution on this channel. So if you really want to improve your understanding of physics and you watch those topic wise questions and also you watch full solutions, it's quite possible you will have very good understanding of physics and you will get maximum marks in your exam. Means you will be able to get the highest possible grades in your final exam. Now let me show you the answer. For the answer of this question, simply you can write down these points. You can simply say the first point, you can say more diffraction of light by slits, because gap size decreases, lambda is the same, so it means more diffraction. So 1 point you can mention. Light from slits have less intensity, means less light is coming out, and more bright and dark fringes, because this will spread out more. Bright fringes are dimmer because resultant, here you can see we have mentioned this point here, because less light is coming, so the resultant wave will have smaller amplitude. And dark fringes, there will be no change due to destructive interference, because the size of the slits decrease by the same amount. If the size of the slits we decrease by different amounts, then dark fringes, they will be brighter. Maybe they can ask you this one in next exam or any other time. So this is how you need to answer. I hope these things make sense to you. And also if you have any questions, please leave your questions in comments and I will try to answer as soon as possible. See you in next video.